Hey everyone. So just wanted to discuss the Module 13 overview. Sorry I'm really late with this. But anyways, I wanted to get this out before you guys dive into the last module on Sunday or Monday. So there were pretty much two extreme sides on the whistleblower case. One was to fire both employees, one for the misconduct and one for failure to report the violation. So the other was you wouldn't fire either one. One, because the boss's violation was based on hearsay, because the junior employee took that from a third party. So, and some of you said it was too severe of a punishment for the junior employee. And instead, many suggested placing a letter of reprimand or writing them up, as they say in the civilian world. Put that in both of their files. So not really firing either one per se, and just having a conversation with the boss about about appropriate relationships in the workplace and discussing what perception is. Obviously, there's this perception problem occurring, and that is something that leadership and employees need to be aware of. So placing a letter or some type of write-up in their file as a reminder to not do something like that again was kind of the consensus on that side of the spectrum. Also, the junior employee would need some counseling as well to help her understand the responsibilities for speaking up when they see misconduct or in hearing of a report of misconduct. Depending on the organization, this would ideally fall in the hands of the ethics committee or some type of committee like that. Or like in the FBI, they have an Office of Professional Responsibility to assess if there's legitimacy to the claim. So that's why there's always a responsibility to report, even if this is just based on hearsay. The safe route is always to report it and let the committee investigate it. Let them handle it. They'll get to the bottom of it on whether on its veracity. So a lot of you said because it was based on hearsay, you would speak to them unofficially and not put anything in their record that could potentially be used against them later. As the boss's boss or senior boss, whatever you want to call yourself, senior management, you definitely want to at least take a mental note of it if you saw that happen again with the other boss, so that's something you need to dig into. Most of you stated before you would proceed you'd need to find out more information to see what happened. So the biggest takeaway is the emphasis on a need for ethics training again. We talk about it a lot, but there is this need to have this training in organizations, and especially among the departments at the department level. Especially to deal with cultural differences so that we can respect and understand one another. And then bring those together within the regulations of the company. A large part of the class has been learning to understand as well as respect others with different viewpoints. That's what this class has been largely about. It's very important to respect their customs and their norms. Many of you argued, however, and I tend to agree that because it's an American company, we must adhere to American standards and procedures. We don't want double standards, and we don't want to leave room for ambiguity. So with that, it's important to maintain our standards across the board, even if we are in a different country. At the corporate level, it's important to understand when we're building or when you're building the organization to know where those cultural differences are and ensure that any dissonance is addressed up front. And that you instill some training within within your employees to understand those cultural differences and how we handle those issues that may come up like this one. So it's also important when you set up a company in another country or area that we understand the cultural norms that are in said country. For instance, if you set up a business or on or near Holy Land, we need to think of the turmoil or the lash out it could cause I know there's like Holy Land in Hawaii. If you placed a business on that land, there's probably going to be some upset people. I think that land's protected, but you get my example. This would be considered or done at the corporate level, but most of the employees and supervisors, the roles many of you in this class will probably be in, if not already, then soon. It's our job to understand that we understand these cultural norms and seek ways to blend them within our own American values and find the common ground that we've been talking about. We have to find ways to communicate our American regulations and expectations because, again, we don't want ambiguity or any misunderstanding. So we have to make sure everyone is trained, especially our American employees, to respect those cultural differences, as well as the Japanese employees or whatever country we're in to understand what is expected of them as well. So that's my take on the whistleblower case. I'll touch on Enron briefly. So this was initially set up to apply the just intelligence principles, but as you well know by now, those are geared for intelligence work only, by and large. So it's difficult for students to try and pull those in, so kind of adjusted it in recent semesters. Ideally, I think it would make a great thesis for a student to modify the just intelligence principles towards the corporate world. That'd be awesome, actually. So I've attached some responses within this announcement from other class and previous classes, some of who did apply the just intelligence principles to mostly corporate case, and it is actually rather eye-opening. So take a peek at that. You'll see some took the perspective of Sharon Watkins and some took the perspective of the Enron leadership. But the bottom line, how leaders did what they were supposed to do and demonstrated good character, and perhaps Aristotle's virtues. We talked about this in some of the prior coursework we dealt with around police work. Just having good character. If Enron leaders just had good character, demonstrated good character, obviously that was clearly lacking in the leadership structure of Enron. And when you're lacking those, and you're lacking those basic or leadership fundamentals, your company is going to fail, which is why you need to set expectations from the very beginning and build from the ground up. So that's my take on that. Great job this week. Let's bring this home. You're hopefully have your group papers done today, and I look forward to seeing your videos next week, or this week. Great job again, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Bye.